Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Thursday, February 11th, about 1:20 in the afternoon, and let's recap the day. So major indexes were basically sideways today, traded a little chop, did a little sell-off in the morning, and then rose in the afternoon, pretty mixed. S&P was up just 6 points, the NASDAQ up almost 2, Dow barely above even, and then small caps finally, which has been leading the market recently, in the red barely. But the big plays today were all in the cannabis marijuana sectors. I mentioned in pre-market they started selling off, and I was mentioning they're looking for a bounce, but there was no strength to be had this morning, and the entire sector just took a massive nosedive. And the leader in the clubhouse there was Tilray. It's it is the most heavily shorted marijuana stock. It's the talk on Wall Street Bets and all over mainstream news too. So if you just look here, it won't pull it up on that screen, but it's just in the top left corner. All these news articles came out today, and I think it was kind of funny. Like this Market Watch update: cannabis stocks nosedive has rallied driven by hopes of UF reforms comes to a screeching halt. And you actually open the article, there was nothing today from news in DC about them removing their push to legalize marijuana federally. So it's kind of a BS article, typical things you usually get from mainstream news. And then I didn't know this either because I don't watch like CNBC or Fox Business or any of those type of channels, but apparently they were pumping up Tilray pretty good yesterday, and then you get this massive crash today, creating a ton of bag holders who bought yesterday. So typical play from the big dogs, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll get into the after hour section here, but just on the daily, it didn't completely gap fill this gap from Monday and Tuesday, right? So the high on Monday was 30.6. It had a low today of 31.22. So we'll see if it falls to about that $30 level to fill that extra 60 cents there, and then it could keep falling down to 26, 27, where we have this area of consolidation from last week. But if we go to the 5-minute chart here, as you see, starts selling off pretty early in the morning. Got that basically a peak in the morning at 4 a.m. and then just straight downtrend sell off. Got a little buying here, maybe a little double bottom here after hours, so we'll see if we can get some strength here on low volume. But I'd say this thing probably keeps selling off for a little bit, but it will bounce at some point. You can't have a massive move one way without a reaction the other way, right? So if you want to talk like Newtonian physics, but so we have a huge drop today. At some point there's going to be a bounce, right? People are going to cover their shorts, look for another place to get in, profit taking the other directions up and down. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Tilray, the leader, Aphria, who they're merging with, chart's almost exactly the same, but sold off even harder. It filled the gap from Monday to Tuesday, and then came all the way down into last week's consolidation area here in the 16s and 17s. And look at the chart, almost identical. A little bit more strength here after hours now, but it's going to have a lot of bags that's going to have to get some buying strength to come up into the rest of the week. So ACB, Aurora, they do have earnings. I don't think they posted them yet. Are they? Yeah, they just did. 3:18, so 5 minutes ago. So are getting a reaction out of it now. So from after hours 14.34 up to 15.85, so pretty sizable bounce there, almost 10%. Pulling back now, but we'll see if that their earning news can reverse some of this massive downtrend today. So you see here, pulls all the way back to the 9 moving average, so might have some support. If not, we'll look to go back down into this consolidation and maybe test the $200 area, or excuse me, 200-day moving average area. And then let's go CGC. It's just going to look similar. Everything's going to look similar just on the daily. So big red candle today. ZYNE, big red candle, right, all the way down, back in consolidation. And then just go into THCX, the ETF, similar right here. Everything that's in it sold off hard. Crashed, closed right on that moving average. You know, sharp edge right here because the change in price was so great. But we'll have to wait and see how the cannabis sector moves this afternoon, and then tomorrow to pre-market, and then if we can get a bounce on Friday with shorts covering for over the weekend. Another play that was up early this morning was MVIS, right? So high gapped up pre-market, and then we had a sell-off here too. It was good short almost throughout this whole week. In the mornings, big sell-off coming after the pop-up, like yesterday, right after the shoot, fell with the market. And then here, sell-off first thing in the morning, found some support, you know, popped up, couldn't break the aftermarket highs from yesterday, and then rolled over, and then continued to roll over into the afternoon. So this should be off SSR tomorrow. So I'll be looking for this to fade even more. I've read different things on the company that they have like a $3 billion valuation, but only $3 million in revenue. So there's a big disconnect between their fundamentals and their price. So potential to go down, probably going to be heavily shorted, and especially in this big pop up with it being a popular name on Twitter, other channels, that this is probably prime time for people to be shorting into these spikes up high. So I'll look for this to hopefully gap fill tomorrow, at least 17 down to 16, maybe in this $15 area. So that'll be a play I'll be watching tomorrow. And then news late in the day was from Hyliion HYLN. It's an electric vehicle company. So they've been pretty beat down recently. So since it ran, back in the summer, and they put out news about you look over here, they introducing a next generation battery module to improve performance and efficiency. So big spike, huge amount of volume, the most volume it's ever done in a day, and almost all that volume came after 10:20. So the second half of the day it put in more volume than any other day that it's had. So usually when you get these big moves like this, you'll get some continuation for tomorrow. So pretty good consolidation pullback here in the last 45 minutes of the day, and then buying pressure coming in right at the end of the day. Now moving sideways after hours. Let's go back to the daily chart just to see, like, pretty big gap up, closed right about the 200-day moving average. So see if that's poses as resistance for tomorrow. But you'll notice here from November, it had a pretty big gap down from $24 area to 21.67. So what's that? $2.50 gap right there. So 10% gap at least, that we could look to get some support here tomorrow, and then maybe shoot for those 24s. So could be a typical play there, or an atypical play. But I would expect the other electric vehicles to move in sympathy with it. So your Neos, your Ride, your Workhorses, your Teslas, because there was also several fluff pieces about Rivian looking for a $50 billion IPO that came out today. So the EV sector could be getting hot again. It could just be the next sector rotation, out of marijuana, away from Bitcoin and into EV. And then just speaking of Bitcoin, it had made a little run around the close of the day today. Got back over 49,000 and sold off. So we'll see if it can break that 50K mark either tonight or over the weekend, as a lot of people are watching it with close eyes. But that's all I got for you guys today. If you got something out of this, let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.